David Brooks is a columnist who I've been reading in the New York Times for, it seems like decades, probably maybe more than 2 decades. I'm not sure. He's been around for a long time, and he's a very, very smart man. He's also traditionally been a very conservative Republican and historically a bit of a neocon. I mean, he supported George W. Bush's lies about the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. He's been a big supporter of Republicans forever. And, the pieces that he writes that occasionally, really I respect, that in fact I've even shared with my kids, tend to be the ones about morality or quality of life or friendships. I mean, David Brooks is a thoughtful guy. He's an insightful, thoughtful guy, even for a conservative Republican. But yesterday, he went off the edge. And I have a feeling that Republican politicians around the country who follow David Brooks, and there have to be many of them, are thinking, okay, this is a leading indicator of bad times to come for the GOP. He wrote, the modern civilization is buttressed by 7 pillars, right? So his founding premise in this article in the New York Times yesterday is that there are these 7, well, he calls them pillars, seven dimensions to our nation, to our democracy, to our republic, that are all essential. And if you cripple or weaken or injure or damage any of them, you cripple, weaken, injure, damage the entire country, the entire democracy itself. And here's his list of his 7. Constitutions to restrain power, international alliances to promote peace, legal systems to peacefully settle disputes, scientific institutions to cure disease, news outlets to advance public understanding, charitable organizations to ease suffering, and business organizations to build wealth and spread prosperity, and universities. I believe that's 8, not 7, but, he said several pillars. I'm sorry, I misread that. Yeah, so there's these 8 things. And then he goes on to say, and this is where it gets shocking, that Donald Trump is only interested in the acquisition of power, quote, for its own sake, and is now engaged in, quote, a multi-front assault to make the earth a playground for ruthless men. I would add ruthless straight white men, but, we all get it, right? In fact, ruthless straight white Christian men. And he goes on to say that this is all part of a singular mission that Donald Trump is engaged in to basically undo civilization. I mean, here's what and he's calling for an uprising. He's saying, a conservative Republican columnist with the New York Times for decades, here's what he wrote. This is verbatim. It's time for a comprehensive national civic uprising. It's time for Americans in universities, law, businesses, nonprofits, and the scientific community, and civil servants, and beyond, to form one coordinated mass movement. Trump, he writes, is about power. The only way he's going to be stopped is if he's confronted by some movement that possesses rival power. And then he goes on to note that, this is not something new. There are some lessons from history that we can learn. He says, peoples throughout history have done exactly this when confronted by an authoritarian assault. In their book, Why Civil Resistance Works, Erica Chenoweth and Maria J. Stephan looked at hundreds of nonviolent uprisings. These movements used many different tools at their disposal: lawsuits, mass strikes, rallies, mass rally strikes, work slowdowns, boycotts, and other forms of non-cooperation and resistance. And then he goes on to praise universities, which he was all over condemning the other day, when it was universities protesting Netanyahu. He goes on to say that the civic uprising, quote, should have a short-term vision and a long-term vision. Short-term, stop Trump, foil his efforts, pile on the lawsuits, turn some of his followers against him. The second is a long-term vision of a fairer society that is not just hard on Trump, but hard on the causes of Trumpism, one that offers a positive vision. And then to completely blow everybody's mind, he closes his article with a quote from the Communist Manifesto by Marx and Engels back in 26? I think it was 26 that they wrote that, whatever. He writes, I'm not really a movement guy. I don't naturally march in demonstrations or attend rallies that I'm not covering as a journalist, but this is what America needs right now. Trump is shackling the greatest institutes in American life. And then he quotes Marx and Engels. He says, we have nothing to lose but our chains, which, as I recall, is how the Communist Manifesto ends. Now, I may be wrong. It's been at least 40 years since I read the Communist Manifesto. It's not that long. It's like 35 pages. When David Brooks is quoting Marx and Engels, you know something's going on inside the GOP.